Welcome. I'm Tracy Smith, and this is Here Comes the Sun, a closer look at some of the people, places, and things we bring you every weekend on Sunday morning. Actor Kathy Bates has been bringing to life captivating and complex on-screen characters for more than 5 decades. She's perhaps best known for her role in the 1990 film Misery, for which she won an Oscar for Best Actress. But while everyone else was cheering for her, Bates's own mother, with whom she had a complicated relationship, told her she didn't understand the fuss. It wasn't as if her daughter had cured cancer. For years, Bates thought this comment was, in part, because she forgot to thank her mom. That is, until she sat down with Ben Mankiewicz.
I forgot to thank her that night.
You know, you did thank her. At the end of your speech, you thanked her.
No, I did not. I did not. You go back and look at it. I didn't.
We did go back and look. Then we showed her.
I would like to thank my family, my friends, my mom at home, and my dad, who I hope is watching somewhere.
What do you think of him?
Thank you. Why did I think I didn't thank her?
Later in the show, Kathy Bates reflects on finding happiness.
Producer talked to a close friend of yours who said, in their estimation, that Kathy Bates has never been happier than she is right now.
Yes, that's true.
That's fair?
That's fair. More than fair.
That's got to be pretty nice.
It's lovely. I just feel like I feel free. I feel free to love. I feel free to even just talk to people. Like at the Emmys, it was so easy to just talk to people and want to talk to people. And it's such a gift.
Then Lee Cowan introduces us to an unlikely composer, 20-year-old Jacob Rock, who lives with severe autism. Although Rock can't read or play music himself, he was able to describe the feeling and cadence of each note to musician and family friend Rob Laufer, who then translated it to the page.
In the beginning, he wanted 5 piano bangs. How long? And he goes, well, the first one lasts for 5 seconds, the next one lasts for 10 seconds. And he just had it really clear in his head, I mean, like the seconds.
As for the notes themselves, Jacob would describe them in terms of an emotion or an image.
He wanted a 5-minute mountain of sadness. And I was like, yes, I can do that.
That's all coming up right here on Here Comes the Sun. Kathy Bates has appeared in more than 70 films, but for her latest role, you'll find her on the small screen. She stars in the CBS drama Matlock, inspired by the original show from the 80s and 90s, but with a twist. Bates plays Madeline Matlock, a former lawyer who uses being overlooked as an older woman to her advantage for her post-retirement job at a prestigious law firm. Ben Mankiewicz toured the set with Bates and sat down to look back at her career and forward to what's next.
So, welcome to Jacobson Moore. This is the litigation floor where Maddie sneaks in.
Jacobson Moore is not a real law firm.
There's my chair over there.
But this is real work for Kathy Bates, the star of Matlock, a new CBS show with a surprise twist and a sly wink to the original Matlock, which of course starred Andy Griffith.
I'm Maddie, informally. Formerly Madeline Matlock. Yes, Matlock, like the old TV show. Well, you see, there's this funny thing that happens when women age. We become damn near invisible. Nobody sees us coming.
I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, I think a lot of us feel invisible this day and age.
Even you.
Yep, I do. I mean, they have trams with tourists who come here, and sometimes I have to stand in front of the trams and just say, hey, don't look at that stage over here, look at me.
Truth is, we've been looking at Kathy Bates for a long time. Like the other great actors of her generation, Bates does more than play characters. She absorbs them. In Richard Jewell, About Schmidt, and Primary Colors, Fried Green Tomatoes.
He died.
Even The Water Boy. In Misery, James Caan said being terrified of Kathy Bates came easily.
I just wanted to be the best I could be, and that's still who I am. And I love that. That's how I recognize it, because I have to dig deep so that it can look easy.
Born in Memphis, Bates began pouring herself into her parts as soon as she took a theater class at Southern Methodist University.
Seeing the actors that were there my first freshman year, I had this moment in my solar plexus. I'll do anything I have to do to be part of this.
Her parents, Langdon, an engineer, and Bertie, a housewife, supported her. They paid her tuition and put off retirement.
My father literally had a heart attack after 2 or 3 years of giving up. He had to spend a fortune that we didn't have sending me to Southern Methodist University, and went to work when he was in his 70s. They gave up so much.
I was born into a world.
She made her movie debut in 1971 at 22 in Taking Off.
It was such a personal song I wrote in Backyard Swing.
You wrote that song when you were 16?
Mm-hmm.
It took 7 years to land her next movie and first speaking part in Straight Time, starring Dustin Hoffman.
I just don't think it's good that he see you right now.
By the early 80s, she was earning raves on Broadway, playing a deeply depressed daughter in the play Night Mother. Bates got a Tony nomination, but the part in the Hollywood version went to Sissy Spacek. It hurt.
What I thought was a shame is that we had spent 2 years working on those roles. How fascinating it would have been to see that on film. That was a great loss.
Losing out on the part lit a fire under Bates. She moved to Los Angeles, putting her in a position to land the role of a lifetime.
You're not good. You're just another lying old dirty birdie. And I don't think I better be around you.
Annie Wilkes, who kidnaps and tortures her favorite novelist in Misery.
Trust me.
God's sake!
It's for the best.
You gave her this humanity. You said Annie Wilkes is not a movie monster. She's a human being.
She was always reaching for something she couldn't have. She wanted to be a hero, totally misguided, of course, but she wanted to nurture people, take care of people, be worshipped, and just became totally obsessed with this guy. And I gotta tell you, I have that side to me. I certainly know what that feels like.
She'd win the Oscar and remembers exactly how her mother reacted.
When I won the Oscar for Misery, she said, "I don't know what all the excitement about. You didn't discover the cure for cancer." I forgot to thank her that night.
You know, you did thank her. At the end of your speech, you thanked her.
No, I did not. I did not. You go back and look at it. I didn't.
We did go back and look. Then we showed her.
My family, my friends, my mom at home, and my dad, who I hope is watching somewhere.
What do you think of him?
Thank you. Why did I think I didn't thank her? Oh, what a relief.
Why does that mean so much to you?
Because she should have had my life. When she died, I said, "Come into me." I wanted her spirit to come into me. Even though we had so many difficulties, I wanted her spirit to come into me and enjoy everything I was enjoying because of what she'd given up. Wow, thank you so much for that.
Now 76 years old, Kathy Bates says she's never been happier. She's a 2-time cancer survivor and eagerly addresses her dramatic weight loss.
It's only recently that I've solved that problem in my life and shed 100 pounds, and it's taken years to do it, and I did it with mindfulness on my own and with determination, and I was able to go to Armani and buy a gorgeous dress for the Emmys and walk out in a size 10. So I'm just luxuriating in all of those moments.
But maybe I'm overthinking.
And Matlock has brought Bates nothing but joy. It has restored her faith in the business after a movie she made, she won't say which one, reminded her of what's wrong with Hollywood.
I think when you feel that kind of betrayal, it it really devastates.
So that's where the retirement talk came from.
Yes.
And then you're shooting the show that you're incredibly proud of, and you thought, okay, I'm not retiring. It can be great.
It's fantastic. I think it's one of the most wonderful roles I've ever had to play. You can feel the joy on the set, and you can feel how we've all come together.
So to be clear, not retiring.
Not retiring.
All right.
I'd love to stay with the show as long as it runs, and I hope it runs a very long time.
After the break, an exclusive excerpt from Ben Mankiewicz's chat with Kathy Bates, something you can only see right here on Here Comes the Sun. Stay with us. As promised, here's more from Ben Mankiewicz's interview with Kathy Bates.
Misery. So Rob Reiner said that he knew after like one word of the audition. That it was
Really?
you. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like right away, he knew.
Wow.
Okay, this is it.
Wow.
And it helped that because they tried Bette Midler and it didn't work out for whatever reason. But William Goldman said, why don't we just go back to the person we had written for in the first place. Like, let's just go back to that Kathy Bates. That's what we should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. I felt ready for the part. I was very dexterous. I was able to really be very nimble with that role.
Producer talked to a close friend of yours who said, in their estimation, that Kathy Bates has never been happier than she is right now.
Yes, that's true.
That's fair?
That's fair. More than fair.
That's got to be pretty nice.
It's lovely. I just feel like I feel free. I feel free to love. I feel free to even just talk to people. Like at the Emmys, it was so easy to just talk to people and want to talk to people. And it's such a gift.
Would you have, back in the, coming off an Oscar win and you're at the events like that, would you have not gone up and mingled with people you admired and whose work you
I don't know if I did or not. I mean, I always felt like, I was overdressed, or oh God, this one dress I had for the Golden Globes, oh my God. When I had been very specific with this designer, I said, please make it simple, simple. And then my husband was with me at the time. He's got a very witty, dry sense of humor, and they rolled this thing out with all these sequins. I just don't think there were any pailles or sequins left in West Hollywood, I swear to God.
You had them all.
And they rolled them out, and my husband, he said, I don't know, Kath, I think I need sunglasses. But I had to wear it, and I went, and I just oh my God, I looked so ridiculous. So that's part of it now, it's like, I feel...
Black, simple.
Well, simple,
yeah.
classy,
yeah.
That's what I'm going for.
Up next, from silence comes a symphony. Welcome back. Music, it can be said, is a language all its own. That couldn't be truer for Jacob Rock, who spent much of his life locked inside his own mind. He lives with severe autism, communicating only by typing, but through music, he's found his voice. With some help, Rock wrote an entire symphony describing the pain and isolation he often feels as a nonverbal person in a noisy world. Here's Lee Cowan.
We've heard it said, where words fail, music speaks. And you're about to meet someone who understands that sentiment better than most.
He has a whole world and a whole life within his brain that for him is completely normal.
20-year-old Jacob Rock is living with severe autism. He's among the roughly 30% of people on the spectrum who are unable to develop functional speech.
He says yes and eat.
That's it.
That's it.
He lives in Los Angeles with his father, Paul Rock, and his mom, Lisa Newman. She's a little camera shy, but they both say Jacob's frustration of being unable to communicate sometimes resulted in self-harm.
He would punch himself in the face. He's very forgiving, but he gets angry when people ignore him or people pretend he's a child. That's really gets him.
I mean, it's got to be lonely for him, but it's lonely for you too.
Yeah, well, you always wonder what's going on.
Speech and music therapists, neurologists, they all try to unlock a way for Jacob to communicate. Now, typing was one way. For 7 long years, everyone, including his mom, who was a third-grade teacher, tried to help him use a keyboard.
There you go.
But Jacob's progress was slow. Some of his school teachers assumed it was because Jacob had a low IQ. But his dad, who worked from home, never believed that. They spent hours together watching Jeopardy, and he says Jacob always seemed to be absorbing it all. And then there was music.
He got a piano. He would play it all the time. Rudimentary. He doesn't actually play.
Paul, a music events producer, always had classic rock playing in the house. And for Jacob, the louder the better.
The whole autism trope of they hate loud noises is true probably for many kids, but not for him.
In 2020, smack in the middle of the pandemic, Paul began working almost every day on Jacob's typing skills. Now, for 16 years, everyone, including Paul, had been calling him Jake. But on this day, he surprised everyone by typing that he'd had enough.
He wanted to be called Jacob, not Jake.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
It was the first time he'd typed out a full sentence unprompted. By the time we showed up almost 2 years later, Jacob was pretty chatty.
I am calm, and I want to say that being the happy subject of this piece is very exciting.
He uses a text-to-speech app on an iPad.
I am so interested in going to the garage to see...
It's a form of augmentative alternative communication that allows him to type out words and sentences, which are then played back. He took us into his bedroom, full of musical instruments. And when we asked him to play something for us, he gave us a very teenage response.
I am damn great at this when no one is here, but I am nervous.
Jacob's ability to type was like water on fertile soil. He began communicating in ways even his dad wasn't really prepared for.
So he started typing poems. It was very emotional poetry and very beautiful poetry and expressing his feeling that, this is my life.
And it turned out that life also had a secret soundtrack. 6 months after he started typing on that app, Jacob announced that he had a symphony in his head, a full 90-minute, 6-movement orchestral composition that he wanted to get out.
Damn calm when I have my symphony to listen to, because really the sounds of my brain are on the screen.
He called it Unforgettable Sunrise.
Why the title?
That's his Unforgettable Sunrise, which is typing and expressing himself.
Jacob couldn't play music, he couldn't read music, he certainly couldn't score it. So how did something as complex as a multi-part symphony get from Jacob's brain to the page?
I thought, please don't ask me.
Why?
It was scary. It was an enormous task.
Rob Laufer, a musician and friend of the family, agreed to try.
It became clear that Jacob could not communicate actual notes to me, but he was hearing definite melodies and he could not communicate it.
Jacob would painstakingly type out detailed instructions for every measure, every movement.
G, O.
In the beginning, he wanted 5 piano bangs. How long? And he goes, well, the first one lasts for 5 seconds. The next one lasts for 10 seconds. And he just had it really clear in his head. I mean, like the seconds.
As for the notes themselves, Jacob would describe them in terms of an emotion or an image.
He wanted a 5-minute mountain of sadness. And I was like, yes, I can do that.
If anything, what his music communicates is that Jacob's inner life is often in turmoil.
He wanted the horns to come in really abrasive, but then they go to a uplifting, joyful, they fill the air with sweetness, but then it goes back and forth. Sweet. Chaotic. I wish we could hear what's in his head. This might be close, I don't know. Every time he made a change, it lifted the thing up and made all this sense.
There's been a long debate about whether nonverbal people like Jacob are actually typing on their own or whether their communication is being facilitated by hopeful parents or caregivers.
Because there are a lot of people who discount the communication that goes on with the typing.
They think it's not real.
They think it's not real. And then he pulls out his index finger and he just types out each letter one at a time.
In fact, during our conversation, Jacob became visibly frustrated because he feared his typing wasn't clear enough.
I am angry that damn ability to type is not always as good as I want, yet I want to tell my story.
You're doing great. After 2 years of composing and arranging, Jacob and Rob finally had the music down on paper. Through Paul's nonprofit, the Wild Honey Foundation, Paul raised $110,000 to bring it to life, including having the University of Southern California's 55-piece orchestra perform it. In the audience that night were others living with autism. One of them even wrote Jacob a fan letter. I also typed to communicate, it read. I enjoyed your show beyond words. They met, and Jacob now says he's composing a musical just for her. This one he's calling Happy Love.
I think most great creativity is by people who are marginalized and they feel that intensity.
That pain?
The pain, just a desire to create and express that pain. And I think when you can't speak, you've got that in spades.
I'm Tracy Smith. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you here next time on Here Comes the Sun.